Good afternoon, welcome back to the channel. We are on the road today with a special, this is a special version of the Soybean Man. And I've got Sharon with me. How are you, Sharon?
I'm good, thanks.
Sharon, can you hand me a hat?
Sure.
Oh, wait. I don't know. This hat doesn't quite fit here. Better have that other one.
But it's dirty.
Yeah, it is a dirty hat. Anyway, we are here at a Huron Tractor branch, of all places to be. And we're a little bit early, so I'm going to do a drive around. There's a few sprayers here. I've done this drive around before. Oh, there's a new planter just coming in. There's a new combine. I don't know, would Santa put that in my stocking, maybe? The new combine? No? Oh, I haven't been good enough? There's those fancy discs. Those John Deere fancy discs. Anyway, we'll see. They've got some equipment over here. I don't know. Yeah. They've got used combines, used sprayers, a few tractors. A few big boy tractors. 9570R. That'd pull the plow. PTO. Put her on the grain buggy. Have to get a new grain buggy. Anyway, we are going in. I've got a few parts to look after here first. And then we're going to meet up with Steve. Steve is going to give us I'm going to move over one. I'm fulfilling someone's dream today. Someone wanted to know how a combine worked. And Steve Reynolds from Huron Tractor is going to show us today. But before I get in there, I wanted to do a special shout out to one of my faithful followers, Sharon. And his name is Clifford McFadden. He's 8 years old. And he likes watching the Soybean Man. And I say, who wouldn't like watching the Soybean Man? Anyway, I wanted to do a shout out to Clifford. So I'm here today with, I'm actually in the wash bay at Huron Tractor in Exeter. And I'm here with Steve Reynolds. How are you, Steve?
I'm doing great, Dennis.
Steve is what I call the combine guru up here. And we've had a request. I hope the sound is okay. We've had a request from one of my faithful followers, and she said, how does a combine work? And she was watching our wheat video, and so I said at the time, I'm going to get a hold of Steve and come up here, and today's the day, Steve.
Sounds good. It's a great day.
So Steve's going to take us through and tell us how a combine works.
Okay.
Go ahead, Steve.
Awesome. Thanks, Dennis. So I think I'll start by just talking about, the function of a combine. And basically, you grow your crops and you want to get that seed out because that's the saleable item. So, and sometimes you can sell straw too, so we'll prepare that with the residue. But anyway, there's a bunch of different things the combine does, and that's actually where it gets its name because it combines many different functions. So there's usually a header that goes on the front up here, as you know, Dennis, and it depends on the crop that you're harvesting. So it could be a grain header that takes in, grain, barley, cereals like that, or soybeans, or it could be a corn header, and that can fit on the front here. So basically, we're taking either the material in, we're cutting, and we're feeding it into this throat, so to speak, called the feeder house here, and moving it up towards where it gets threshed, where you separate the grain from the chaff, so to speak, okay? And that's down around the side. So the first thing is our cutting and feeding, and a chain moves the material up the feeder house and then it needs to get accelerated into the threshing and separating area. So if we go back here, I'm going to just turn a light on here for you, Dennis.
And if somebody wanted to see the heads, if they go back on we did a wheat video, and there's a real good, I videoed the draper head working, and in our corn video, I videoed the corn head, and I think Cameron and I, editor Cameron, we showed how it takes the ear off the stalk.
Oh, perfect.
And we have calmer rolls on our corn head.
Oh, you do? Okay.
That's a poor man's chopping head.
And that's another thing we can talk about too. But for now, so that material, including the cobs you're talking about, corn cobs, for example, comes up and feeds into this area here. So if you look in there, there's some steel grating, so to speak. So, and in the center of that is a big cylindrical device called a rotor. And that rotor turns around anywhere, depending on the crop, from 300 RPM up to even 900 RPM, depending on the crop you're doing. And it spins, and that grating is stationary. So what happens is, the material, the corn cobs, for example, go in there, and they get rolled around, and the kernels will get threshed off of the cob, and they will fall through that grating. Now, we have a wheat concave in there, and a concave is what that grating is that you see.
That's the wheat one in there now?
This is the wheat one, yeah, just to be clear, and there's different ones depending on the crop. So at the front is where all of your threshing happens. That's separating the grain from, say, the cob with corn, or the grain from the chaff and straw for wheat, all right? Then it goes to a separating area, and what this is where the final grain is separated from that other material that we don't necessarily, that we're gonna put out the back of the combine. So, so up at the front, you thresh it, and then actually there's a lot of separation because that grain falls through the grating right down. And then any separation that's left happens kind of back in this area in the separator, Dennis.
And there's augers in there, isn't there?
Yep. So up at the front, there you go. So just up there is the augers, and get a look at that because the grain will fall through the concave onto the auger bed, and the augers bring that grain into the cleaning chute. So that's kind of the third process, is we've got to clean the grain from any other fine material that we don't want in our sample.
And this is the cleaning chute down in here.
Yes. So it's down underneath. It's hard to see. We'll get a better picture of it through the back, so they'll see.
Yep.
Okay. So any remaining kernels will drop through there in that separating area, fall onto that pan that you see, and go down into the cleaning area. So this area is going to thresh and separate. Very important, because we need to thresh the kernels off the cobs before we can separate. And then it all goes to the cleaning chute.
And all this is happening at a tremendous speed.
Yes. Yeah. So you're going to be going, you know, from that 4.5 to 5.5 mile an hour speed with your machine.
And with this combine, probably a 12-row head.
Yep. You put a 12-row corn head on it. You put a 40-foot header
Draper.
for cutting wheat.
There's a lot of material going through there.
Yes, there is. You know, and it takes a lot of power because, like I said, there's a lot of things that this does. It cuts and feeds, it threshes and separates, it cleans, takes that grain up into the grain bin up top for storage. You know, it can be either 300 bushel, or larger ones are 400 bushel capacity, and it processes the residue at the back. It chops up all that straw and spreads it out there in a nice pattern so that we can plant in crops after that. So there's a lot of things that this combine needs to do with that power. So what we can do back here, if you want, I'll turn this light on, but in underneath is the cleaning chute, and maybe that would be a nice, just to take a bit of a look in there, and then I'll explain it.
Oh, here we are.
There you go. So you're looking at what they call a cleaning chute. I wish I knew why it was called a cleaning chute. I don't know. But what it is basically two sieves that separate the grain from the chaff. or in corn, it'll separate, you know, corn from some other fine, say, leaves or stalk pieces, things like that, okay? And it shakes back and forth, and it allows the course, or the seed to drop down, all right? And then the other material that we don't necessarily want in our grain sample to go over that.
And the other thing I think that's important to mention is most of these adjustments you make from the cab.
Exactly, Dennis. Everything has got sensors on it. Everything has got adjustability from the cab. There may be some parts that we change out. So for example, remember we talked about the concaves up there. They would be different depending on the crop. You're looking at the chaffer, we call it, that top sieve here. That is different depending on if you're doing corn or cereal grains.
You change this out?
Yeah, I recommend in corn to do what they call a deep tooth sieve and chaffer, and with grain, a general purpose sieve and chaffer, because if you think about it, the seed size is different.
Yeah, big difference.
So you want to tailor your combine to the crop you're growing, and it's no different than winter tires or a summer tire on your car. It works better because it's designed for that. And out back here is we've got what we call a straw chopper, and it manages residue. Now it's in the up position, but I can bring it down. Do you want me to bring it down?
Yeah, bring it down and show them how easy this is.
Yeah, this is pretty slick here.
I like this.
Yeah, it's handy.
And if you ever had the old style combine like I had, this is nice.
Well, it looks like a bit of snowdrop around there, but that's all right. All right. So what this does is process our material. So if we think about it, let's say we're harvesting wheat, right? And that straw is important. Some people bale it, obviously, for bedding or filler for feed, things like that. But you can either spread it out and keep that material, or you can bale it. So if you were to, say, put it in a row to bale it up, we could lift the chopper up and put everything down. The beauty of this is that we can switch from spreading to just windrowing the straw, but still spread the chaff.
Oh, this is straw coming out here?
This is straw coming out here.
So then you flip that pan up?
So what I can do is, there's a door up underneath from the cab.
Oh, okay.
I can hit a switch, that little door goes up, and all of a sudden I'm making a windrow.
Oh, from the cab?
Yes.
Well, that's something new.
Yeah, within the probably within the last 5 or 6 years. It's an important feature because you have more control. You're just windrowing the straw, which you want, but the chaff is still being spread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And lots of people only want a little bit of straw.
Yes.
You know, because the livestock is dwindling, at least in our area.
Okay. So lots of control here, and then also it's got to be able to spread the width of
The header, yeah.
So this one's, so very important because the next crop starts once you combine, right?
This one has a foldable unload auger. That'd be nice.
Yes. So that's 26-foot auger. So they're getting to be a little long just due to the width of the headers we have. So to get in a shop, in parking, you can fold up the auger, which is a really nice feature.
You control that from the cab too?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm kind of famous for putting that auger into evergreen trees.
You are.
Yeah, I've done that.
You're not alone.
I think I've done that every year. I knocked that rubber off. I don't think I've missed a year yet that I haven't had to put it back on.
It seems to be a tradition then.
Well, we got it down to pat, that's for sure.
There you go. Well, we sell parts, you know that.
Well, luckily, mine pops off and pops back on. It's not bad.
Good. Excellent. Excellent. So yeah, on this side, we've covered, a lot of the main processes. One thing I wanted to show you on this side, which is kind of interesting, is our new combines have cameras on them now. Okay? So this here, if you look at this, I'll just open this up briefly. This technology, that lens is seeing the clean grain go up and into the bin continuously. So when you're in the combine, you can look at that grain that's passing and understand, how it's doing. Same with this looks at tailings, which is another system.
This would be a nice feature to have. because I always wonder how much tailings are we getting, other than seeing it on the panel.
So you raise a great point, Dennis. So back in the day when I was a kid, I'd sit and you could see the tailings. You'd open up the little cupboard, if you remember, or the little door, and you would see what's in your tailings. Because, and I don't want to get too technical here, but tailings is a good understanding of how it's threshing in wheat.
Yes.
And it's not only quantity of tailings, which is measured by this, it's the quality. What's in it?
Yep.
You know, do we have unthreshed kernels, all that sort of stuff. So now we can see that with this camera on the screen in the cab. And this combine is smart enough that we can use a feature called auto maintain. And what auto maintain is, basically you set the combine you want, because farmers know how they want to thresh and what sample they want. Then you hit set target, and these cameras will help to maintain that quality and that sample throughout the whole day. It'll change, tweak little settings, and allow you to maintain that. So that technology is really useful, and it helps, and I just wanted to point that out. I think it's interesting.
And what we got here is a moisture meter.
Yes, exactly. So this here takes samples continuously and senses moisture right there.
Yeah.
Because as you know, moisture is important to know, because there's certain moisture you harvest stuff at.
Anyway, let's go over what's in the cab.
Okay. All right. There's a good picture there. We've got two displays in here, as you see, and usually I like it set up kind of like this, where I've got my main combine, and these are 5 important settings. Oh, I'll turn that down. We've got our rotor speed. Remember we talked about that. Our threshing setting, how narrow or wide we want that. Fan, and some of the shoe settings here. All I need to do is touch on the combine, change the setting, and I'm good to go. I like this one up here. I've got my yield map on there, so I can see how that's going. Or I can also shift over to my live camera. We just talked about the cameras.
Yeah.
It doesn't show now because I'm not started, but it would show there, and I can see my clean grain and what it looks like, or tailings as well. So I really like this layout here. It makes it easy for fine-tuning and adjusting my machine. For example, if I wanted to, go from spreading everything to, say, windrowing back there, I could just touch this and then stop the combine, stop the separator, and just
hit windrow.
And there you go.
Amazing.
Done. You want to go back to chop it? And there you go.
Amazing.
Isn't that neat? So I thought that's kind of cool. And on the new ones, this is interesting. It's got a knife bank, so you can change how far in and out the knives are if you want to change how your residue's chopped up. And I know this get a little technical, but it's kind of a neat feature on these new machines. So yeah, but fairly easy to go. Everything's there, and I mean, you can set up this combine. It's got Combine Advisor in here, which part of it's that auto maintain I talked about. Yep. We can set Harvest Smart so that it will change speeds according to power's target. Active Terrain Adjust, if you go up and down a hill, it'll change shoe settings to be more efficient. And then auto maintain, like I said, we can set that target and it will maintain that sample all day. So technically I can hit number 2 button and let the combine change its speed, right? Change settings to optimize that machine. And that's kind of where we're at in 2020 here. It's great. So
they've come a long way from the old thrash machine.
Now, what was the first combine you drove, Dennis?
9510.
Did ya?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was my baby.
That was a good machine.
The best feature in here, though, is right here.
Okay.
The fridge.
The fridge. You're not wrong.
A few tall ones in there would be nice when you're doing wheat.
Well, I can't condone that, but that's good.
Well, that's good, Steve. Thanks for taking the time to
My pleasure.
Show us this. I know I've learned a lot, and I'm kind of hoping that it would sure be nice if Santa Nick would tuck one of these in my stocking for Christmas. Wouldn't that be nice?
That'd be great.
Except for the check.
I'll pass that message on.
Anyway, if you like this video, give us a like. If you haven't subscribed yet, now would be a good time. And I want to thank everybody up at Huron Tractor. They're super to work with. And I know Steve, just as soon as I asked, he said, yeah, come on up. So that's good. So anyway, we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks a lot, Dennis.